Welcome back to Crown's Kiddo Cave, and welcome to this next entry within this trading psychology series. Today, I wanted to talk about a topic that I get asked about this a lot on live streams, and it is what's the most important trait for a successful trader? And I've really had to put a lot of thought into this because I've been thinking about this for a while now, and it wasn't so clear at first, like what kind of interrelated all the people who I thought were successful in this endeavor. And what it actually came down to was, when I really thought about it, was it wasn't just a trait that made people successful with regards to trading, but it was actually with regards to many different skills in life. And that is the skill of self-awareness. The most successful traders that I know are extremely self-aware, extremely lucid, and they know exactly how their body is operating at all hours of the day in ways that, sometimes in ways that I don't even think that they understand themselves. It's just they know how to respond to certain triggers within their body that let them know that they're either, in a good state and it's time to take action, or if they're not, and just kind of how all those, little intricacies kind of play with each other. So when it really comes down to it, especially for trading, self-awareness is incredibly important. Why? Because you need to know so much about how to interpret and respond properly to your emotional state. As your emotional state as a human being is always going to be in some ways controllable, but in most ways not really controllable, and more kind of what's the word that I'm looking for? It's more fleeting and floating. We can't really control our emotions in the same way that we could control our actions. For example, our actions are a little bit more under our volitional control. Our emotions, sometimes seem to just kind of creep up on us in weird ways. And the thing is that when we get into very emotional states, as far as just quite literally thinking, it can really block us off from making sound logical decisions. In fact, it's a fact of the human brain that when we're in like a fight or flight mode, when we're basically in like kind of a in a dire situation, we're actually blocked off from from our more logical state. So if we are feeling in a more emotional state, we can't literally make a good decision in a very bizarre way. I mean, shit, if you go to trial and if you kill someone and then you claim insanity, like in some cases they'll let you fucking off. It's that crazy. It's taken that seriously, and I can 100% understand that, because you probably felt this yourself, and I know I felt this myself, that in my past, when I was a little bit more driven by emotions when it comes to with regards to trading, I would get in these more emotional states, whether it was positive or negative, and that would ultimately drive myself into a spiral dynamic where usually I would end up on the bottom. And the thing is that, again, it comes back to that fact where you're really just blocked off from making actual sound logical decisions. If you're blocked off from doing that, I don't care what your fucking plan is, you're not going to follow it. If you don't follow your plan, it doesn't matter what your plan is, right? So that's what it really comes down to. And what I've noticed for a lot of these successful traders, and just successful in any area of their life, self-awareness with regards to that particular skill was probably the most common trait. So with these traders, they'd usually be able to really pinpoint down what constitutes a good, psychological environment for themselves. For example, like there was one guy who, if he had like a fight with his wife, or if he was, if he was dealing with some shit like, another guy was dealing with some shit with like a divorce, they said, hey, I'm just not going to be trading for this time. They came into the office a few times, saw them, but they were just not interested in trading. I mean, one guy he would sometimes come in, and then his wife would call him, and then he'd feel like really fucking bad, or he'd get really fucking pissed. Just like, all right, I'm not gonna be trading today. And you know what? That was an incredibly mature decision. Now, I think a lot of people would be conditioned to think that that's like laziness or something like that, because we're very, very poorly conditioned in the Western world here, especially thinking that if we're not doing our job, we're being lazy. If you're not doing your homework, you're a lazy kid. You deserve a bad grade. Well, no, this is actually more important to know when you're kind of in one of those more emotional states, because you can sidestep even having to deal with it. Now, of course, that brings up another conversation, like, should we all just go and become like a Buddhist monk and try to realize that our emotions, are nothing but fleeting things, in the ethereal space mon, we're just floating on a floating rock in space mon, that kind of bullshit. Is that worthwhile? Yes, absolutely. Is it practical? I don't know, man. I don't necessarily have the time to devote to becoming a fucking monk at this point right now. And also, I don't really want to. I think that there's certainly some benefits to it. But at the same point in time, we have to meet each other, we have to meet ourselves with where we're at. And unfortunately, that kind of train is maybe a little bit more hard to get on right, at this point in time. So my point is that you just do the next best thing. What's the next best thing? Well, for those people and for myself included, would just be to not trade. And there's plenty of times where I've just not felt. I've in some cases just literally felt physically sick. I've caught a fucking illness. I got food poisoning. I'm pissing out of my asshole. It's like, am I in a good state to trade? Not really. Not really. What's the best state for myself to trade in? I want to get at least 8 hours of night of sleep. I want to have a nice workout that day. I want to go to the sauna. I want to take a walk, and I want to eat some good food. And that's probably going to get me into the best state that that I can come up with making good, sound, logical decisions. If I haven't done that, I try to really avoid taking trades. And a lot of the time it's almost fucking impossible to get 8 hours of sleep at night. So it doesn't always happen, but that's just accepting reality for what it is. Hey, if that's going to be the reality, I'm just going to remove myself from the situation. That's all well and good. Now, self-awareness obviously comes in many other shapes and sizes. For some people, they might get on tilt. I mean, that's a little bit more of like an obvious way, right? We probably all experienced that. I know that I've certainly experienced that, getting what poker players refer to as on tilt, where you get into such a strong emotional state where you literally can't let it go until you've entered into a new paradigm where you're even more fucked than you could have even thought yourself could be. So for example, a lot of people go into tilt in poker and just trade all their money away. I mean, essentially, they play all their money away is maybe the better terminology, but you get what I'm saying, right? When you start getting into that mindset as a trader, you'll just play the game and play the game without changing anything, and you're actually caught in that spiral because you're not aware of what sort of emotional state that you're in, and you just get sucked in, all your money gets sucked out, and you don't get sucked off, and that fucking sucks. So Jesus Christ, man, sounds awful, but you get my point, right? Without the more careful and colorful language. It really comes down to self-awareness, understanding where you're at, and understanding where your strengths and weaknesses are. And you want to be working better towards those over time. I mean, perhaps like meditation is something that would help you perhaps distance yourself from your emotional mind state. Better than you might have been at default. Just making sure that the actual lighting's okay right now. Hey, it's actually not so bad. It's kind of cool. It's raining super hard right now outside in summer. It's literally the fucking 21st of July, and it is almost 90 degrees outside, raining hard as fuck. What the fuck, Chicago? Craziness, man. Fucking craziness. Anyways, before I get into more tangents, back onto the topic of self-control. Not self-control, but self-awareness. So it really comes down to understanding where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, working towards them over time, but understanding that when you are in an emotional mind state like that, the most mature and most professional thing to do, just don't even fucking try. Just don't even fucking try, because it's not going to end up well. And that was one of the biggest lessons that I really had to learn. Thinking that I could fight through that sometimes. No, that was not the case for myself. I pretty much only had bad results from trying to trade from that sort of a mind state. I mean, recently I just moved countries, right? So I had like some massive jet lag going on. Was trading the best thing for me to do during that time? Fuck no, man. I closed most of my positions. Just kind of let it be what it's going to be, and just understand that over a long period of time, there's an abundance of opportunities in not just this market, but pretty much all markets and pretty much all skills in life. It's not like it's going away anywhere, especially in cryptocurrency land. I mean, this thing's fucking ripe. So you should never really feel that that FOMO drug in your own brain. In fact, really kind of like bringing this full circle and talking a little bit more about the FOMO drug, which I feel like a lot of people get, and again, myself included. I never really have stopped getting it in a way. I still get it, absolutely, but I can't see that emotion, but I can feel that emotion coming on, and I can recognize, and I can say, oh, I'm literally feeling the emotion of FOMO right now. Then I go to my phone and it says, don't FOMO. Or if I go on Discord, we have a nice little bot there that if you type in *FOMO, it says no. That's exactly what you want around you. So having those sorts of little reminders that kind of prime myself for avoiding, for sidestepping those perhaps destructive emotional states, and kind of waking myself up to the fact of where I might be is incredibly important. And so I can't tell you exactly where you might have experience some of these some of these things. I can only tell you what's worked for me and what I've experienced, but definitely FOMO, definitely getting into bad mind states, definitely not being in optimal mind states from getting good nutrition, good sleep, good exercise, all that stuff, just taking care of like your body essentially, and of course also just being in just random just random situations as well. Like I said, maybe you have a fight with your wife, maybe you have a fight with your significant other, maybe you have a fight with your family, whatever it might be, in the myriad of issues that can arise in a world of infinite possibilities. I'm sure that there's I'm sure that there's something out there, and if you felt if you've quite literally felt something like that, that's the time where I think the base, the general solution is to really journal it out, whether it's like with a trading journal, whether it's just like with a real journal or meditating on the fact. I think that that's getting those thoughts onto paper and documenting the situation, and then being able to come back at a later time and look at that documentation of that situation and then reevaluate it. That's where you can actually really grow as a person, and you can really take that self-awareness and use it for your own good. So I think I'll leave off the video with that. Start a journal, start a meditation practice, whatever the fuck it takes. Again, that's what's works best for me. Some people don't really operate like that. Some people like going on walks. That's completely fine. I like going on walks as well. I think it's quite helpful. It's kind of like a meditation, really, is what it actually is. In fact, I'd definitely say it is. So it's just about using all of the more positive vices in place of that to kind of gain a better understanding of where we're at, and then working with ourselves rather than against ourselves, because you also don't want to really make your body an adversary either, as you're fucking person. That's what you are. You don't want to make your own self an enemy, right? So again, that's what I'd say it has worked best for me. I'd strongly suggest doing some sort of journaling, and with that, I'll leave you off, and I'll see you next time. Take care.